With ImpacTalks, we celebrate the power of storytelling.
Our next ImpacTalk speaker is Rachel Flum. She has served as the executive director of the Economic Progress Institute in Rhode Island for 3 years. Prior to taking over as executive director, she was a senior policy analyst with the Institute for 10 years. Rachel cut her teeth on public policy working for Senator Kennedy's Help Committee after college, and then with Catholic Charities on welfare reform as part of Georgetown Law School's in-house clinical program. As a mother of 3 children, her policy focus and passions have continued to center around work supports, such as child care assistance and paid leave. Rachel is going to tell you about her adopted state of Rhode Island and why you should pay attention to their success. Please join me in welcoming Rachel to the stage.
So I know what you're thinking. Wow, those Rhode Island SPP offices are nice. Sadly, these are not our offices. This is the Marble House, which is one of the mansions on Newport Row that was built by the Vanderbilt family in the late 1800s. Perhaps you've been to Newport and seen some of these mansions. They're very beautiful, and we're glad you came to visit. But Rhode Island has so much more to offer than the remnants of the Gilded Age, and I want to tell you about our state today. The first thing I think you might already know, we're small. We're the smallest state in the country geographically, and we top out at only 1 million people. But we fight above our weight class, and we're making small but steady waves of progress in the quest to improve economic security. The next thing is that we're the ocean state. We're proud of our beautiful beaches and deep water wind farm, but in typical Rhode Island quirkiness, most of the state isn't actually an island at all. Nevertheless, I'm going to play up this ocean state metaphor and talk to you about how so many of you in this room have been a true beacon of light helping guide our work. And lastly, our state motto is hope. And my goal today is to provide you with hope for the future based on the success of the smallest state in the nation. Our small SPP organization in the smallest state in the nation has made small but steady waves of progress over the last 19 years. We've increased the minimum wage up to $10.10 an hour. Not where it needs to be, but steady progress up. We've led the coalition to fight for an increased earned income tax credit, which is now up to 15% of the federal credit. This means that 83,000 Rhode Islanders a year get to keep more of their paycheck. And we fought to expand and protect Medicaid so that 1 in 3 Rhode Islanders has access to this important service. This helps our economy and ensures that we have one of the lowest uninsured rates in the nation. And we've been a real watchdog ensuring that tax credits for economic development have solid, strong reporting requirements. And we're starting to see those reports roll out. Now you may say, yeah, but isn't Rhode Island triple blue and there are only progressives that live there? We are triple blue. However, our map really looks more like the country's. This is from 2016 presidential election. We're blue on the coast and red in the middle. And our policy recommendations are not ushered in on a silver platter by a supportive legislature. Instead, like many of you, we keep up a steady drumbeat of data-supported recommendations and progressive policy solutions that we work with our colleagues to educate our conservative legislators, who most often would rather cut taxes than invest in prosperity. Now we know that while we're making steady waves, we don't do this work alone, and that we're so much better and more effective when we work in collaboration. My relationship with the partnership and with so many of you in this room has been a true beacon of light helping guide our way. When I started the organization 13 years ago, I was a young lawyer who knew almost nothing about tax policy. Full disclosure, I didn't even take tax law in law school. But they hired me anyway, and I soon realized that I had a peer support network that really helped me understand the ropes. And 3 years later, when I became executive director, I came into the fold of a whole new set of peers who've helped guide my way. It's really helpful in this work to have folks who get this, right? When I'm trying to fundraise and some conservative donors would rather invest in the local food pantry than it help fund a new tax position on my staff, my fellow executive directors understand that. They also know that sometimes hiring in this work is tricky. I've heard people say, you're looking for a unicorn. You want someone who knows tax policy, economic theory, and something about your state budget? Yeah, we don't know anyone. And lastly, as I'm sure many of you in this room can appreciate, we build these beautiful work plans only to have them destroyed by the introduction of terrible legislation that we then have to spend the rest of session fighting against. This work we do together is fun and fast-paced and crazy, and it's made so much easier when we know we're doing it with colleagues across the nation in other states that I can call to complain, but also who have real recommendations and tactics, both for policy areas and for internal organizational development. And while our work together has been a beacon of light and stability for our organization, I want to talk to you about some policy changes that we've made in our organization to try to help anchor families. We've long worked on increasing wages and fighting for accountable tax policy. But as we looked around and the jobs and the economy, we realized that the landscape was changing and that workers also needed a way to balance their work and family obligations. Do you guys remember Matthew Desmond, who was the Impact speaker a couple years ago? He recently had a New York Times article who talks about Vanessa, who's a certified nursing assistant working 20 to 30 hours a week, but she simply can't get ahead. And it's not just because her wages are too low. She doesn't have the paid sick and paid family leave to help her with her family. Our country's failure to provide work support, paid leave policies to help families anchor them requires that organizations like ours that care about economic justice are also in the fight for paid leave. We in Rhode Island are proud of the successes that we're making in this area. In 2013, we became the 3rd state in the country to pass paid family leave. Woo-hoo! And in 2017, we became the 5th state in the nation to have both paid family leave and paid sick days. This means that families like Vanessa's and the workers that we heard in Rhode Island do not have to make the tough decision about whether to go to work sick, whether to stay home with a sick family member, and also get a paycheck. These policies help anchor those families while we also are working simultaneously to increase their wages. So why should you care about our small states' small successes? Because we're charting a course to change the national conversation. The fact that we pass both paid sick days and paid family leave despite business opposition means that we can do this without the world ending and businesses moving out. That hasn't happened. And we can help share our stories with all of you, both on how to get things passed and also the implementation landscape, so that we can all ensure that we have the best policies. Yes, we know. We now have to catch up to Massachusetts. Thank you, Massachusetts, for passing a superior paid family leave law. But in the end, these small waves are the tsunami of change that our nation needs in order to help support all our families in overcoming the barriers that hold them back. Rhode Island's motto is hope. And guys, there's lots of terrible national news out there. We could all use a little hope. And I know that there are rays of light in each of your state as you each slowly but surely make progress towards overcoming the barriers that hold people back. If the smallest state in the nation can lead the way on paid leave, there's truly nothing that we can't all do together. Thank you.